Good morning everyone. Bago matulog, basa na tayo guys para tuloy-tuloy gising, tuloy-tuloy ang tulog natin. Genesis 41 and 42. Pang 17 na natin to, di ba? January 17, 41 and 42. Tara, bilis. Parang na makatulog na tayo guys. Hindi pa rin naman tayo imbo ko eh. Joseph is placed in charge of Egypt. Pharaoh's dreams. When 2 full years had passed, para lang si Daniel, si Joseph, nag-i-interpret rin siya ng dreams. When 2 full years had passed, Pharaoh had a dream. He was standing by the Nile, when out of the river there came up 7 cows, sleek and fat, and they grazed among the reeds. After them, 7 other cows, ugly and gaunt, came up out of the Nile and stood beside those on the river bank. And the cows were ugly and gaunt, ate up the 7 sleek, fat cows. Then Pharaoh woke up. He fell asleep again and had a second dream. Ganyan-ganyan din ako pag natutulog ulit. Tapos, pag pangalawang dreams, hindi ko na siya matandaan. 7 heads of grain, healthy and good, were growing on a single stalk. After them 7 other heads, grain sprouted, thin and scorched by the east wind. The thin heads of grain swallowed. Alam niyo mamaya guys, kung halimbawa mamaya tayo magbabasa, yung suot ko na to na maiksi, siguradong ngungo ako mamaya. Kasi pag ganitong patulog tayo, hindi pa ganun kalamig. Pero siguro habang pag natutulog tayo, malamig na. Yung tinatakpan ko nga lang kasi yung liig ko lang. Kasi para, tapos meron pa ako mainit na tubig. Yan. Sarap ganunin, oh. Sarap sandalan. So kaya kahit nakamaiksi lang tayong damit, kaya lang kinatakot ko mamaya madaling araw. Kaya kailangan magbasa na tayo ngayon. Madaling araw na nga, alauna na eh. In the morning his mind, basa na tayo, sprouted thin and scorched by the east wind. The thin heads of grain swallowed up the 7 healthy full heads. Then Pharaoh woke up. It had been a dream. In the morning his mind was troubled, so he sent for all the magicians and wise men of Egypt. Pharaoh told them his dreams, but no one could interpret them for him. Then the chief cupbearer said to Pharaoh, "Today I am reminded of my shortcomings." Pharaoh was once angry with his servants, and he imprisoned me and the chief baker in the house of the captain of the guard. May nakaalala. Okay, yung tiyan ko pumulo na naman. Aray ko. Each of us had a dream the same night, and each dream had a meaning of its own. Now a young Hebrew was there with us, a servant of the captain of the guard. We told him our dreams, and he interpreted them for us, giving each man the interpretation of his dream. And things turned out exactly as he interpreted them to us. I was restored to my position, and the other man was hanged. So Pharaoh sent for Joseph, and he was quickly brought from the dungeon. When he had shaved and changed his clothes, he came before Pharaoh. Pharaoh said to Joseph, I had a dream, and no one can interpret it, but I have heard it said of you that when you hear a dream, you can interpret it. I cannot do it, Joseph replied to Pharaoh, but God will give Pharaoh the answer he deserves. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, in my dream I was standing on the bank of the Nile, when out of the river there were come up 7 cows. Inulit niya guys. Fat and sleek and the grease among the reeds. After them 7 other cows came up, scrawny and very ugly and lean. I had never seen such ugly cows in all the land of Egypt. The lean ugly cows ate up the 7 fat cows that came up first, but even after they ate them, no one could tell that they had done so. They looked just as ugly as before. Then I woke up. In my dreams, I also saw 7 heads of green fall and food growing on a single stalk. After them, 7 other heads sprouted, whitered and thin and scorched by the east wind. The thin heads of green swallowed up the 7 good seeds. I told this to the magician, but none could explain it to me. Then Joseph said to Pharaoh, Aya, the dreams of Pharaoh are one and the same. God has revealed to Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good cows are 7 years, and the 7 good heads are green are 7 years. It is one and the same dream. The 7 lean ugly cows that came up afterwards are 7 years, and so are the 7 worthless heads of ugly cows that came up afterward are 7 years, and so are the 7 worthless heads of green scorched by the east wind. They are 7 years of famine. 7 years of famine though. It is just as I said to Pharaoh. God has shown Pharaoh what he is about to do. 7 years of great abundance are coming throughout the land of Egypt, but 7 years of famine will follow them, and all the abundance in Egypt will be forgotten. That follow Naantok na ako guys. It is just as I said to Pharaoh. God has shown Pharaoh what he is about to do. 7 years of great abundance are coming throughout the land of Egypt, and but 7 years but 7 years of famine will follow them. Then all the abundance in Egypt ang kasi kailangan kasi Then all the abundance in Egypt will be forgotten, and the famine will ravage the land. The abundance in the land will not be remembered, because the famine that follows it will be so severe. But kaya may famine pa, no? The reason the dream was given to Pharaoh into forms is that the matter has been firmly decided by God, and God will do it soon. And now let Pharaoh look for a discerning and wise man and put him in charge of the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh appoint commissioners over the land, take a fifth of harvest of Egypt during the 7 years of abundance. They should collect all the food. They should collect all the food of the 7 years that are coming and store up the grain under the authority of Pharaoh to be kept in the city. To be kept in the city. In the cities pala guys. To be kept in the cities for food. This food should be held in reserve for the country to be used during the 7 years of famine. Ganyan dapat naghahanda. That will come up upon Egypt so that the country may not be ruined by the famine. Kaya maganda rin yung ganyan advance. Advance mong nalalaman, di ba? Bilis na. The plan seemed good to Pharaoh and to all his officials. So Pharaoh asked them, "Can we find anyone like this man, one in whom is the Spirit of God?" Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Since God has made all this known to you, there is none so discerning and wise as you. You shall be in charge of my place, and all my people are to submit to your orders. Only with respect to the throne will be greater than you." So, siya na ngayon ang antok na talaga ako guys. You shall be in charge of my place, and all the people are to submit to you only with respect to the throne. Okay, dito na tayo sa 41. Verse 41 ng 41. 41 tapos 41 yung verse. Joseph in charge of Egypt. Pharaoh said to Joseph, "I hereby put you in charge of the whole land of Egypt." Then Pharaoh took his signet ring from his finger and put it on Joseph's finger. Ang tas kagad ng position niya, no? Then Pharaoh took his signet ring from his finger and put it on Joseph's finger. So, tingnan mo, ganito lahat. He dressed him in robes of fine linen and put a gold chain around his neck. He had him ride in a chariot as his second in command. And men shouted before him, "Make way." Thus he put him in charge of the whole land of Egypt. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, "I am Pharaoh, but without your word no one will lift hand or foot in all Egypt." Pharaoh gave Joseph the name of Sabinath Bani. Ang hirap naman ang pinalit sa kanyang pangalan, guys. Pwede bang Joseph na lang sabihin natin? Pinalitan Zabinath. Pharaoh gave Joseph the name Zabinath Bani. Tama ba? And gave him Asenath, daughter of Potiphar, priest of On, to be his wife, and Joseph went throughout the land of Egypt. Joseph was 30 years old when he entered the service of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and Joseph went out from Pharaoh's prisons and traveled throughout Egypt. During the 7 years of abundance, the land produced plentifully. Joseph collected all the food produced in the 7 years of abundance in Egypt and stored in the cities. Antok na. Nakikita niya sa video, antok ka na. Tara na. Joseph was 30 years old when he entered the service of Pharaoh's king of Egypt, and Joseph went out from Pharaoh's presence and traveled throughout Egypt. During the 7 years of abundance, the land produced plentifully. Joseph collected the food produced in those 7 years of abundance in Egypt, stored in the cities. In each city, he put the food grown in the fall surrounding it. Joseph stored up huge quantities and grain like the sand of the sea. Allah. In each city and stored in the cities. In each city, he put the food grown in the fall surrounding it. Joseph stored up huge quantities of grain like the sand of the sea. Biro mo yan, no? So, napakarami ng sand sa dagat. Doon pa talaga siya kinumpara. So, ibig sabihin ganun karami yung pagkain nila sa 7 years, guys. Ang dami nilang It was so much that he stopped keeping records because it was beyond measure. Hindi nga masukat yung sa dami ng pagkain. Maghahanda lang kasi sila kasi may famine na darating. Before the years of famine came, 2 sons were born to Joseph by Asenath, daughter of Potiphera, a priest of On. Joseph named his firstborn Manasseh. Ito yung una niyang anak, si Manasseh. And said, "It is because God has made me forget all my trouble and all my father's household." The second son he named Ephraim. Nabasa ko si Ephraim. Ito yung firstborn son ni Father God, kung tawagin niya is Ephraim. Pero anak pala to ni Joseph, guys. It is because God has made me fruitful in the land of my suffering. The 7 years of abundance in Egypt came to an end, and the 7 years of famine began. Hala, tagutom na. Just as Joseph had said, there was famine in all the other lands, but in the whole land of Egypt there was food. When all Egypt began to feel the famine, the people cried to Pharaoh for food. Then Pharaoh told all the Egyptians, "Go to Joseph and do what he tells you." When the famine had spread over the whole country, Joseph opened the storehouses and sold grain to the Egyptians, for the famine was severe throughout Egypt, and the requirements ay, antok na ako, guys. Ang oras na ba? When famine had spread over the whole country, Joseph opened the storehouses and sold grain to the Egyptians, for the famine was severe throughout Egypt, and all the countries came to Egypt to buy grain from Joseph because the famine was severe in all the world. Joseph and his brothers met in Egypt. Ito na yung nagbenta sa kanya, guys, diba? When Jacob learned that there was grain in Egypt, he said to his sons, "Why do you just keep looking to each other?" He continued, "I have heard that there is grain in Egypt. Go down there and buy some for us." Bibili daw yung mga kapatid. He continued, I have heard. Yung si Jacob guys, ito yung tatay ni Joseph. Tapos diba may mga kapatid siya na bininta nga siya doon sa ano. So, kinausap ngayon ni Jacob yung mga ano. Sa chapter 42 na tayo ha. When Jacob learned that there was grain in Egypt, he said to his sons, hindi niya alam na buhay si Joseph eh. Why do you just keep looking at each other? He continued. I have heard that there is grain in Egypt. Go down and buy some for us, so that we may live and live. So that we may live and not die. Nice. Then 10 of Joseph's brothers went down to buy grain from Egypt, but Jacob did not send Benjamin, Joseph's brother, with the others, because he was afraid that harm might come to him. So Israel's sons were among the si Israel guys is si Jacob yan. Pinalitan din ng pangalan niya. Kaya ang hirap ng pangalan ni ano eh. Ang hirap ng pinalit na pangalan kay Joseph. Sapenath. Z. Ang hirap. Sapenath Panay. Salita tayo ng salita na naman yung nalalamunan ko. Now Joseph, wait. But Jacob did not send Benjamin, Joseph's brother, with the others because he was afraid the harm might come to him. So Israel's sons, so ibig sabihin nito guys, Jacob's sons. So Israel's sons were among those who went to buy grain. For the famine was in the land of Canaan also. Now Joseph was the governor of the land. The one who sold grain to all its people. So when Joseph's brothers arrived, they bowed down to him with their faces to the ground. Hindi nila nakilala guys. Nagbow down sila. As soon as Joseph saw his brothers, he recognized them, but he pretended to be a stranger and spoke harshly to them. Where do you come from? He asked. From the land of Canaan. Hindi rin siya nakilala. Bakit? Alam mo guys, itong nababasa natin, parang hindi, ewan ko pa anong nangyari na hindi nakilala. Kasi minsan din si Jacob nakipagtabi sa isa, hindi rin niya nakilala na manugang na yun. Yung bang ganung bagay na magtatabi kayo tapos hindi, diba ang una niyang, ang gusto niya talaga is Rachel. Tapos napunta siya kay Leah kasi yun ang binigay sa kanya. Pero mo nakaniig niya, hindi rin niya nalalaman na si Leah yun. Ang mga ganung bagay. Ba't ganun? Tapos ito na naman hindi rin siya nakilala ng mga kapatid niya. Diba? 17 years old na siya nung nung binenta siya, diba? 17 years old na siya nun. So dapat natandaan pa to ng mga, excuse me lang. Delayed reaction. Ay, sige na nga. Basa na. Matapos na tayo, makatulog na tayo lahat. Where do you come from? He asked. From the land of Canaan, they replied, to buy food. Although Joseph recognized his brothers, they did not recognize him. Kaya nga, imposible nga, Then he remembered his dreams about them and said to them, You are spies. You have come to see where our land is unprotected. No, my lord, they answered. Your servants have come to buy food. We are all The sons of one man, your servants are honest men, not spies. No, he said to them, you have come to see where our land is unprotected. But they replied, your servants were 12 brothers, the sons of one man who lives in the land of Canaan. The youngest is now in our father, and one is no more. Joseph said to them, it is just as I told you, you are spies, and this is how you will be tested. As surely as Pharaoh lives, you will not leave this place unless your youngest brother comes here. Send one of your number to get your brother. The rest of you will be kept in prison so that gumanti si Joseph. So that your words may be tested to see if you are telling the truth. If you are not, then as surely as Pharaoh lives, you are spies. And he put them all in custody for 3 days. On the third day, Joseph said to them, do this, and you will live for I fear God. Ay nako. On the third day, Joseph said to them, do this, and you will live for I fear God. If you are honest men, let one of your brothers stay here in prison, while the rest of you go and take grain back for your starving households. But you must bring your youngest brother to me, so that your words may be verified, and that you may not die. This they proceeded to do. They said to one another, surely we are being punished because of our brother. We saw how distressed he was when he pleaded with us for his life, but we would not listen. That's why. Ay, 27 na. That's why, asan ako? Antok na talaga. Kasi mamaya, ano naman tayo. Diba? Verse 22 guys. Robin replied, didn't I tell you not to sin against the boy? But you wouldn't listen. Now we must give an accounting for his blood. They did not realize that Joseph could understand them since he was using an interpreter. He turned away from them. Bakit interpreter guys? He turned away from them and began to weep, but then turned back and spoke to them again. He had Simeon taken from them and bound before their eyes. Joseph gave orders to fill their bags with grain, to put small silver back in his sack, and to give them provisions for their journey. After this was done for them, they loaded their grain on their donkeys and left. At the place where they stopped for the night, one of them opened his sack to get feed for his donkey, and he set silvers in the mouth of his sack. My silver has been returned, he said to his brothers. Here it is in my sack. Their hearts sank, and they turned to each other trembling and said, what is this that God had done to us? When they came to their father Jacob in the land of Canaan, they told him all that had happened to them. They said, the man who is Lord over the land spoke harshly to us. Gumanti lang kasi sa inyo si Joseph. And treated us though we were spying on the land. But we said to him, we are honest men, we are not spies. We were 12 brothers, sons of one father, one is no more, and the youngest is now with our father in Canaan. Then the man who is the Lord over the land said to us, "This is how I will know whether you are honest men. Leave one of your brothers here with me, and take food of your starving households and go. But bring your youngest brother to me, so I will know that you are not spies, but honest men. I will give your brother back to you, and you can trade in the land." And they were emptying their sacks there, and each man's sack was in pots of silver. When they and their father saw the many pots, they were frightened. Their father Jacob said to them, "You have deprived me of my children. Joseph is no more, and Simeon is no more. And now you want to take Benjamin. Everything is against me." Oo nga, ano. Kasi akala niya si Joseph na wala na. Tapos si Simeon naman nakakulong. Tapos ito namang si Benjamin napakuha. Then Reuben said to his father, "You may put both of my sons to death if I do not bring him back to you. Entrust him to my care, and I will bring him back." But Jacob said, "My son will not go down there with you. His brother is dead, and he is the only one left. If harm comes to him on the journey, if harm comes to him on the journey you are taking, you will bring my gray head down to the grave in sorrow." Tara, punta na tayo sa... Hello guys, 1:31 na. 12:1 to 23. 12:1 to 23. Matthew. One to 23. 17. Kailangan na natin matulog kasi may lakad pa tayo bukas. 17 January 2020. Gusto ko lang kasi matulog ng tuloy-tuloy guys. Nang wala bang istorbo. Hindi naman istorbo yung pagbabasa eh. Hindi naman, kaya lang kasi pagka maagang gigising. So nagpupuyat na rin lang, di tuloy-tuloy na. The disciples speak with on the Sabbath. At that time, Jesus went through... sorry guys. Disciples speak with on the Sabbath. At that time, Jesus went through the grain fields on the Sabbath. His disciples were hungry and began to pick some heads of grain and ate them. When the Pharisees saw this, they said to him, "Look, your disciples are doing what is unlawful on the Sabbath." He answered, "Haven't you read what David did when he and his companions were hungry? He entered in the house of God, and he and his companions ate the consecrated bread, which was not lawful for them to do, but only for the priest. Or haven't you read in the law of this, that on the Sabbath the priest and the temple desecrate the day, and yet are innocent? I tell you that one greater than the temple is here." Oo nga. If you had known that these words meant, "I desire mercy, not sacrifice," you would not have condemned the innocent, for the Son of Man is Lord of the Sabbath. Jesus heals a man's hand on the Sabbath. Going on from that place, he went into their synagogue, and a man with a shriveled hand was there. Looking for reason to accuse Jesus, they asked him, "Is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath?" He said to them, "If any of you has a sheep, and it falls into a pit on the Sabbath, will you not take hold of it and lift it out? How much more valuable is a man than a sheep? Therefore it is lawful to do good on the Sabbath." Then he said to the man, "Stretch out your hand." Nako po, yung aking bumibigay na guys. He said, then he said to the man, "Stretch, stretch out your hand." So he stretched it out, and it was completely restored, just as sound as the other. But the Pharisees went out and plotted how they might kill Jesus. Large crowds followed Jesus. Aware of this, Jesus withdrew from that place. Many followed him, and he healed all their sick, warning them not to tell who he was. This was to fulfill what was spoken through the prophet Isaiah. "Here is my servant who I have chosen, the one I love, in whom I delight. I will put my spirit on him, and he will proclaim justice to the nations. He will not quarrel or cry out. No one will hear his voice in the streets. A bruise, a bruise, a bruised reed he will not break, and smoldering wick he will not snuff out, till the leads justice to victory. In his name the nations will put their hope." Religious leaders accused Jesus of getting his power from Satan. Then they brought him a demon-possessed man who was blind and mute, and Jesus held him so that he could both talk and see. All the people were astonished and said, "Could this be the son of David?" Okay guys, thank you so much for your God. Tapos na kami. Good night everyone. Good morning everyone. God bless.